A Hemi is the shape of a hollow the size of a coffee cup. That is the whole thing. The hollow is a combustion chamber cut into the underside of a cylinder head. On a Hemi, it is close to half a sphere. Hemi is short for hemispherical. The valves sit on opposite sides of the dome, leaning steeply apart. The spark plug enters through the middle. That is the entire definition. Welcome back to Big Block Radio. Everything else follows from that one decision. Splayed valves leave room for larger valves than a flat wedge head of the same bore, and an angled valve lets the intake port run a straighter path in. More air every revolution. Chrysler did not invent the shape. It was in European racing engines before the First World War. The first Chrysler was the Firepower V8 of 1951, 331 cubic inches, 180 horsepower. Then Chrysler dropped the whole family. A wedge head made nearly the same power for far less money. The 426 Hemi arrived in 1964 and not in a showroom. It was built to race. Richard Petty won the biggest stock car race in the country with one. NASCAR looked at an engine nobody could buy and changed the rules. Chrysler sat out most of the 1965 season in protest, so the fix was to build street cars around it. The race engine went on the order sheet. For 1966, it became a factory option, 425 horsepower at 5,000 RPM, 490 pound-feet at 4,000. Racers called it the Elephant. The heads were so wide that fitting the engine into a car was its own project. The 1968 Hemi Dart and Barracuda drag cars were built for the strip. Only around 11,000 street Hemi cars left the factory across 6 model years. Production ended after 1971. Here's the part the brochures skipped. A dome is a large volume, and volume kills compression. To get compression back, you fill the chamber in again with a dome piston, an aluminum hill exactly where the flame wants to travel. So the chamber that breathes brilliantly at 6,000 RPM is a mediocre chamber at 1,500. A wedge reaches high compression with a flat top piston and flows better at small valve openings. Chrysler sold millions of wedge head 318s, 383s, and 440s and about 11,000 street Hemis. The wedge was the engine. The Hemi was the statement, and the statement is the part that survived. The name came back in 2003 on a 5.7-liter V8. In 2015, a supercharger went on a 6.2, and 707 horsepower became something you could finance. Purists say none of the modern engines is a true Hemi, and on geometry they have a case. 2 spark plugs per cylinder, 16 in a V8. A Hemi in resemblance, not in cross-section, and a 2-valve hemispherical head lost the argument outright once 4-valve Pentroof heads arrived. Same airflow advantage, a more compact chamber, and no dome required, none of which has hurt the name. The 5.7 returned for 2026 at 395 horsepower. 10,000 orders landed in the first 24 hours. 4 letters on a fender still move metal. See you next time.